Great things start from small beginnings, and this time around we'll be interviewing somebody who is a classic example of this. She is our country's very own racing prodigy. Sino kaya to? Tara, samahan niyo ako. Hello there! Welcome to Real Drive. Year-old Bianca Bustamante has been behind the wheel since she was 3 years old. The dazzling teenager, who officially started her racing career at the age of 6, is a 4-time winner of the China Grand Prix Kart Scholarship, 3-time Macau International Kart GP champion, 2-time Junior Asian Karting Open Championship overall champion, 3-time Philippines Driver of the Year in karting, and the Philippines National Junior Karter of the Year. Last September, Bianca was drafted into the highly selective FIA Girls on Track Rising Stars, wherein she was the only Asian racer on the roster. From our office in Makati, we went straight to Carmona Racing Circuit in Cavite. The track is 1 kilometer long and is used for motorbike racing and kart racing. Here we have winner Bianca Bustamante, our 16-year-old racing prodigy. So, Bianca, how's that?
I'm good. I just came back from France and I'm settling down here in Philippines. Very quite good. Yeah.
Okay, you just had your Girls on Track test in France. How was it?
It was a very good experience. Honestly, as a driver, I developed a lot of new talents and new skills that I can use in the future, my future races. And not only that, I also found out where I lacked as a driver and improved progressively as I was staying there. And now the goal is trying to get a seat in Formula 4 next year.
Okay, and then tell us, you started racing when you were small, little, like 3 or 6 years old. So can you tell us more about that?
Yes, I started driving actually a go-kart, a mini kart like this when I was 3 years old. And ever since that, I just moved progressively, and eventually I started doing professional races when I was 6 years old. By the end of that year, I did my very first international race and I won. So I think that's where I kind of figured out that this was something I really wanted to do for a very long time.
I think somebody very special inspired you to race, so tell us more about that.
Yeah, so basically my dad was also a former karter.
Somebody very special inspired you to race, so tell us more about that.
Yeah, so basically my dad was also a former karter. He introduced me to karting. Eventually I picked it up and I found out it was my passion as well.
Okay, what about racing made you fall for it?
I think just the speed, honestly, like driving a go-kart, like you've driven a kart as well, and it's just the speed of it, the adrenaline when you're driving, you're going so fast and there's like corners after corners and you're just trying to get around it as quick as you can. And apart from that, it's also how competitive it is. You know, racing is very competitive. It's a sport where men and women can compete equally on the same level with the same equipment, and that itself pushed me to excel.
Okay, in the karts you have the different types of karts, right? But you basically, what do you drive or race in? What
So
cars?
when I was younger, I drove a baby car, and then as I grew up, right now I'm racing in the senior category, the X30 Senior, with a big car like this. And now I'm making my transition from karting to Formula 4, and we're working on that. Yeah.
So from karts to Formula 4, how do you transition? How do you adjust?
Well, honestly, driving a Formula 4 car, it's very much faster. It goes around 230 kilometers per hour, and there's the shiftings, and there's like a lot of engine brakes, and compared to a go-kart where it's automatic. And the biggest problem is that, getting a seat time, because there's no Formula car here in the Philippines. There is, but there's quite a few, so I can't test as much as I want. So right now we're just trying to move up in Euro Formula, so Italian Formula 4 is the target.
Okay. So you're now 16 years old and you've been racing for about 10 years?
Yes.
Okay. So
Almost all my life.
all your life. Okay. So can you share one of your, or perhaps your most memorable experience in racing?
Well, I think there's always a bit too much to mention, but the most memorable was my very first international race win in Macau, and I was Macau Grand Prix champion in karting. And I think that was just the moment I was like, when I was standing in front of the podium and I just saw everyone, I was so happy. That moment felt so serene, and as a racer, that feels very special for me. And that's the part where I kind of fell in love. And the more you win and the more you drive the kart, you just like fall in love deeper and deeper. And right now I'm just like in this deep hole.
Okay, you're in the deep hole. Okay. And you can't get out of it.
You can't. It's just either you do it for the rest of your life or you regret it.
Okay. Perhaps you've been racing for 10 years. Can you share any struggles?
Montero Sport. Elevate your journey.
Drive your ambition. Mitsubishi Motors.
Well, a karter, I struggled a lot, of course, financially. It's very difficult to own a cart or to just drive around. It's very expensive. Karting is very expensive.
It is
sport.
actually.
And apart from that, struggles, I think, is just every race, honestly. There's not a race where it's smooth sailing. Like, even in Formula 1 teams, they struggle every race, and that's how it is for us too. We struggle with competition or an engine problem or something with a cart, or myself, maybe there's a few races where I wasn't showing enough pace, and I always just try to push past that and give it my best every time.
Okay. Despite all of those, how do you manage to efficiently still be on the podium?
Like a race, it goes for around 20 laps. It's very long, so there's a lot of time to think for yourself. And the main key, I think, as an athlete and as a racer, is to try to stay calm, think on your feet, and just keep your head moving. So it's like every lap, you just think about your next move. Don't rush it, but think advance more than your competitors. And as a female, I always found it that my brain was my biggest asset. Yeah, there's a saying that women think more brilliantly than women and the men. So I try to stay smart, keep myself safe, and eventually I get to the top.
That's good. And yeah, actually mentioning that, how do you compete in a male-dominated sport?
It's very difficult. Oh God, it's very difficult as a woman. There's barely any other woman competing in the same grade as I am, and so it's usually 20 drivers and there's only one female.
Oh, wow.
At first, it was so scary. Like, there was a lot of men and there was only me with long hair. And but I think the more that I got experience, the more I raced abroad. I raced in Europe, America, and that's I kind of felt less nervous, and I just felt more competitive. I felt more confident. I had more confidence in myself that I could, I could outdrive them. I could beat anyone as long as I put my mind into it. Because like karting, everyone's driving the same kart. There's nothing that separates men and women. So the equipment is the equalizer, and basically when we have our helmets on, it's all equal.
Yeah, actually.
Yes.
With all your experience in racing and karting and with your dad, what basically drives you? May balita ba kayong nasakyan sa kalsada mga katandem? I-share na yan sa Daily Tribune. Madali lang ang pagpapasa ng balita. Kailangan lang gawin ay shoot, send, edit, post. Daily Tribune, ang Cash News Squad. Katandem sa kalsada, katandem sa balita.
What drives me is driving itself. Yes, honestly it is. I mean, I first drove a kart when I was 3 years old, and I barely even knew how to talk and walk, but I knew how to drive a go-kart. And I think what drives me the most is this one experience when my dad brought me to his race, and I was around a year or a year and a half, and I was already at the track, and I was watching my dad race. I was watching him gear up, get to that kart, and he won that race actually. And then at the podium, he brought me along with him. He carried me to the podium, and there was the two of us. And I think that was just the moment that I knew that I wanted to continue what he started. I wanted to continue this for myself for the long run. I see myself doing it for the rest of my life, honestly. And everything I liked or admired was always related to motorsport. So I just knew that it was a very big part of me.
So thank you, Bianca, and good luck in your Formula 4 next year.
Yes, thank you guys so much.